Folks, the UFO files are getting absolutely out of control. I've covered on this channel so many UFO space technology experts that have either gone missing or been murdered in very, very suspicious circumstances. And apparently this is just the tip of the iceberg. The UFO community are digging deeper and deeper into some allegations that the government has really come in contact with extraterrestrial life. One of the craziest allegations that I've seen that I'm going to talk to you about in this video is that there are actually rumors, there are genuine people in mainstream media that are actually involved in the government, have been close to some of these programs, that are actually saying that extraterrestrial beings have been found and captured. There's been unidentified flying objects that have actually been shot down by the military. And I can't even believe this, but they're actually saying that apparently there are even programs to try and breed these extraterrestrial life forms that they have captured with humans. This is, I know I sound crazy, but this is actually what they're talking about. They're saying, just listen to this. Don't even take it from me. Don't even call me crazy. Let's just listen to this, okay? This is wild, okay? So look, I don't even know where to start with this one. It's actually crazy, okay? We're basically, Representative Tim Burchett, this is somebody actually in the government, is basically claiming that there are actually alien breeding programs. I can't even believe one. Just listen.
Okay, I want to play you a soundbite. Former colleague of yours, Matt Gaetz, making some pretty shocking statements yesterday about aliens. Take a look.
I had someone come and brief me who was in a military uniform, worked for the United States Army, that was briefing me on the locations of hybrid breeding programs where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication. Aliens that were living were in forced breeding programs with humans that had been abducted from war zones and from even the caravans of migrants.
All right.
That's someone in the government. He's really said that they're breeding migrants with aliens. What the fuck?
I mean, you know, I don't have the tinfoil hat on just yet, Congressman, but I'm wondering, you know, kind of how you react to that, because you are connected. You're on the UFO subcommittee. I mean, I'm just wondering what you make of that. Have you heard anything like that?
Well, I'm still a member of Congress, so I can't really comment too much on what Matt said. But I will say this.
Wait, seriously? Are you being serious, or is that tongue in cheek?
I'm being 100% serious. Okay. I've been 100% serious. I've been briefed by just about every alphabet agency there is. And I'll just tell you this. If they would release the things that I've seen, you would stay up, you'd be up at night worrying about or thinking about this stuff. We just need to disclose it all. I'm sick of it. Well, I was briefed. I'll just tell you this. I was briefed last week on an issue, or excuse me, 2 weeks ago. And it would have set the earth on this country would have come unglued, I think, if they would have heard all that I heard. They would demand answers. And we need to, but you know, it's never going to get. Unfortunately, it just keeps getting covered up, and the people that know are dying or disappearing, as the case may be.
Wow.
And for the record, I'm not suicidal, and I don't take risks.
What the fuck? He's saying I'm not suicidal. I can't even comment on this. My clearance is too high. But some of the things that I have seen, if the public knew them, they would be demanding. They would be demanding results and answers. It's actually scary. Okay, it's actually scary that that's what they're saying. They say we need to protect this man. He ended that by saying, I am not suicidal. Noticing patterns could be hazardous to your health. I'm scared. They're saying most of the bribed, lying reptilians are in Congress. They're saying this interview was more chilling than the others with Burchett. He sounds freaked out by what he's been briefed on. He's been briefed on some shit. He's scared. He says, I am not suicidal. I'm saying this on Newsmax. Now, Vice President J.D. Vance recently spoke on the UFO files and his personal beliefs about aliens, and this was just as chilling. Look at this. J.D. Vance said they're demons. He said, I think they're demons. Look at this. It's insane.
You're going to release all the UFO files?
We're working on it. It's funny. When I came in, I was obsessed with the UFO files. And then you start getting really busy worrying about the economy and national security and things like that. But I've still got 3 more years as vice president. I will get to the bottom of the UFO files.
Okay. Have you peeked? Have you done a peek?
Have I what?
Have you done a peek? I mean, like, you know.
So I actually haven't. I have
full
not.
Independence Day.
I have not been able to spend enough time on this to really understand it, but I am going to. Trust me, I'm obsessed with this. I've already had a couple of times where I'm like, all right, we're going to Area 51. we're going out to New Mexico. We're going to sort of get to the bottom of this. And then the timing of the trip just didn't work out. But trust me, anybody who's curious about this, I'm more curious than anybody. And I've got 3 years of the very, very tippy top of the classification. I'm going to get to the bottom of it.
Okay, so you haven't been to Area 51 yet?
Not yet.
Some
Not
people
yet.
say they keep the UFOs in Ohio. You know, they might,
Hangar 18, Hangar 18, right? I've heard that as well. But I don't know. I haven't looked into it yet.
Okay. All right. Well, we're waiting for it. We saw aliens.gov. We saw aliens.gov.
I don't think they're aliens. I think they're demons anyway, but that's a longer discussion.
Well, I can't let you go without a follow-up on that. Because Barack Obama is on this podcast and he goes, yeah, aliens are real, but like, here's where they're not. And, you know,
I did not.
And so Obama says, yes, aliens are, he gets asked point blank, are aliens real? He said, oh, yeah. And then he goes, but they're not at Area 51. And
well, where are they, Barack?
Well, that's what he says. Okay. Right. That's a great question. Trump had to go save him, and he said he's going to declassify. Okay. So you think they're demons?
Well, look, I think that celestial beings who fly around, who do weird things to people, I think that the desire to describe everything celestial, everything as otherworldly, to describe it as aliens. I mean, every great world religion, including Christianity, the one that I believe in, has understood that there are weird things out there, and there are things that are very difficult to explain. And I naturally go, when I hear about sort of extra natural phenomenon, that's where I go to, is the Christian understanding that, you know, there's a lot of good out there, but there's also some evil out there. And I think that one of the devil's great tricks is to convince people he never existed.
So he thinks they're demons. He doesn't think they're aliens. He thinks they're literal demons from hell. This is the vice president, all right? The tinfoil hat. I need to get some tinfoil to put around my lovely Mariners hat here that apparently I'm not allowed to wear. It is insane, okay? So there's more, okay? Representative Anna Paulina Luna sent this viral letter to the Defense Department seeking answers for this. She sent a letter to Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth requesting over 40 specific UAP videos. Basically said, the Committee on Oversight and Government Reform Task Force on the Declassification of Federal Secrets Task Force is continuing. Let's just mute that one. I'll put that on Do Not Disturb. Unidentified aerial phenomena, the continued lack of transparency surrounding these anomalies, the potential national security threat they pose is troubling. On September the 9th, 2025, the task force held a hearing focused on these concerns. Whistleblowers informed the task force that the AARO possesses additional video records of potential UAP sightings. To continue the investigation, the task force requests certain video files related to these sightings. The lack of disclosure regarding the very real threat posed by UAPs in and around the US restricted airspace is concerning. The task force found responses from the AARO when questioned about UAP sightings and provided data less than adequate. They didn't give enough info. The presence in and around these sensitive airspaces of US military installations proposes a threat of security to the armed forces. So they're saying, look, if it's the aliens, if it's the Iranians, we don't give a shit. We need to know what's going on with this. And it lists all these UAP sightings in videos that have been requested and weren't delivered. A 4 UAP formation in Iran, a Syrian UAP instant acceleration, a UAP USO formation, Wiley 2X Zinc, I don't know what that means, a cigar-shaped or fat spherical UAP in 2022, and the list goes on, all right? Erratic movement remix, spherical UAP in and out of the clouds, pulsing over the water, one in the clouds, a voodoo 4 times UAP, I don't even know where they're getting these names from. JD Vance is saying they're demons. This is saying they're naming some of these UAPs voodoos. What the hell are we talking about? This one's a warlock. They've seen him in Kabul. Dozens of these. Footage of UAP captured by a 5th generation aircraft. So the highest performing aircrafts in the US military are capturing these. And it never ends. There's dozens of them, 46 versions, 46 instances that have not been provided, okay? People saying very important milestone. Just 10 years ago, this will be unthinkable. Thanks to all the collective effort in the UAP community, this is an official request. Exciting times. Says, oh, so they did shoot a UAP over Lake Huron in February the 12th, 2023. Insane how everyone forgot this incident after they said it was Chinese balloons. Caught my eye too. Don't forget, people, 3 objects after the balloon, NORAD commander said we're not calling them balloons for a reason. They weren't balloons. They was UFOs, UAPs, all right? Unidentified aerial phenomenon. Spherical UAP, erratic movement. Me remix is a killer song name. It's insane. Okay, it would be funny if people weren't dying and going missing. Now, one major incident listed in the letter is the shoot down over Lake Huron, which was mentioned there, and this also coincided with another shoot down of a UFO in Yukon, Canada. Look at this; it's in the news
tonight. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announcing a U.S. fighter jet took out an unidentified object over the Yukon, scrambling both Canadian and U.S. aircraft.
The Air Force are shooting down UFOs over Canada. This is real. That's the Prime Minister of Canada opening up about this.
After coordinating with President Biden Saturday afternoon. Just one day after another unidentified object was shot down over Alaskan waters, with recovery efforts underway in the Arctic and more questions than answers about who owned it, why it was there, and what capabilities it may have had.
We don't have any information that would confirm a stated purpose for this object.
President Biden ordered U.S. fighter jets to take it out with a missile just hours after learning about it. But already some key differences emerging with the Chinese balloon blasted out of the sky a week ago. First, in size.
It was much, much smaller than the spy balloon that we took down last Saturday.
Closer to a small car versus the Chinese spy balloon, which was 200 feet tall with a satellite on the bottom as large as a regional jet. The unmanned object Friday was also taken down much faster, about 24 hours after first being detected, compared to the 8-day journey the balloon took before being hit over the Atlantic. And then there's the elevation.
The object was flying at an altitude of 40,000 feet and posed a reasonable threat to the safety of civilian flight.
Much lower than the Chinese balloon, parts of which are still being recovered off the coast of South Carolina.
We have located a significant amount of debris so far that will prove helpful to our further understanding of this balloon and its surveillance capabilities.
The retrieval efforts in Alaska complicated by treacherous conditions, with searches being done through ice and snow. Part of the mystery, if it's not another balloon, what could it be and from where?
I think it's more likely to be harmless than a active Chinese intelligence collection effort.
So look, we don't know. We don't know what it is, all right? It's insane. It's actually insane. People say, I don't believe for a minute they don't know what's happening. They just aren't telling the public. Whatever it was or whoever sent it, it's probably just testing our response time. It is scary, okay? TMZ would investigate this incident deeply as well. Okay. Oh, sorry. TWZ, not TMZ. We flipped it on them. Okay. This says secret memo raises more questions about UFO shootdowns over Alaska, Canada. A memo to Justin Trudeau provided insights and prompts additional questions about the mysterious aerial engagements last February. Okay. Let's see. This is a lot. This is a long one. Let's lock in. Let's lock the F in. Okay. It says, following the shootdown of 3 unidentified objects in 3 days over Alaska, the Yukon, and Lake Huron in February, and the downing of a Chinese spy balloon off the coast of South Carolina a week earlier, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had a secret memo laying out how the Canadian government was responding to the Yukon incident. It stated the full exploitation of whatever the U.S. Air Force shot down over the waters of Alaska had not yet been completed. They don't want to know what it is. Reports said a few days later, the U.S. called off a search for a wreckage of the downed object. Exactly what type of intelligence exploration this is unclear. Yeah, no, don't worry about it. We called off the search. We didn't find anything. Don't worry about it. Don't even ask about this again. Don't ever ask about this ever again. And don't request these footages either. That's what they're saying. Okay, the memorandum for the Prime Minister transmitted on Valentine's Day, funnily enough, was obtained by the Canadian TV news outlet through Freedom of Information requests. It basically said they verified that the North American Aerospace Defense Command numbered unknown objects sequentially to track every detected object not immediately identified upon cross-examination. Most objects found to be innocuous and don't meet the higher threshold for higher reporting engagement. Don't worry about it. Doesn't matter. But the memo identified it as UAP-23. It was the 23rd unidentified radar track by NORAD over North America at that point that year that was classified as UAP, and it did rise to a high level of concern given that it was shot down. It was bad enough, it was serious enough that they shot it down, and this is actually the document explaining some of this stuff. They have no idea Object 23's function, method, or propulsion or affiliation with a nation state is unverified. They have no idea where it came from, and they have no idea what technology it was using. That is absolutely insane. It was shot down by a US Air Force F-22 Raptor. The remains were unverified, unknown whether it posed an armed threat or has intelligence collection capabilities. They don't know anything. Well, I'll tell you what, they definitely don't want you to know anything. That is what's going on. So the Canadian Air Force were doing a search effort to find it, and they said it was unlikely we're going to find it. Don't worry about it. Just forget this ever happened. Okay? They're saying that they were concerned Indigenous hunters might accidentally find the UFO object during their caribou hunt. and they've basically scrambled fighter jets to try and find this thing. It's actually insane. Okay, it's actually very, very insane. So there's been a lot of questions about what it is. Could it have collected intelligence for different countries? During the February 11th news conference, the Canadian Defense Minister said the unknown object was a small cylindrical object smaller than the Chinese spy balloon that was flying at 40,000 feet when it was shot down. So there was an official brief on the matter where they basically said that there was an operation between the Canadian fighter jets and the US fighter jets. And they basically said the team was instructed, whoever had the first best shot, take it out. That's what they said. It also mentioned another UAP shoot down by an F-22 over the water in the northeastern corner of Alaska. That was described as UAP-20. There's a whole bunch of them, all right? The full exploitation of UAP-20, which was engaged, has also not yet been completed. Just don't worry about it. Apparently, that object broke into pieces once it hit the frozen sea ice off of Prudhoe Bay, just off of Alaska. And they're saying, again, the US called off the search, all right? They're wondering what it means about full exploitation. They're saying that it could be foreign material exploitation. They basically say that they have to pick up all of these evidence of these things. It's critical to major adversary intelligence revelation. So they basically have to make sure this ain't the Russians or the Chinese doing some crazy stuff over our waters. It is actually insane. Okay. And there's been a whole bunch of these F-35 fighter jets that are capturing full videos of these things. They're looking at the radio frequencies in their sensor systems, and they don't want to release the videos of this. They have footage of all of the UAP sightings. Absolutely just, it's been recorded by the fighter jets. They've got it. They just don't want you to see it. Okay. It's crazy. They've been trying to say, oh, we tried to capture that stuff in Alaska. It was on top of sea ice. It was hard to find. They said the object was traveling at 40,000 feet, the size of a small car, and it was shot down because at that altitude, it was perceived as a threat. They described that number 20 object as cylindrical and silverish gray. That sounds like your classic UFO. They're saying, all I can say is it wasn't flying with any sort of propulsion. So if it was balloon-like, well, we just don't have enough at this point. And these details are completely different from what they were told about the Chinese spy balloon. They basically, described it completely different. That balloon was able to maneuver. It was the size of a small airliner, and it traveled between 60 and 70,000 feet. So basically, a lot of speculation has been made about what these could have been. All these different UAPs, number 21 and number 22, they don't want to talk about that. And it says the object shot down over Lake Huron might have seemed to be a relatively small balloon based on the radio communications, but basically no one wants to give any information. The NORAD said that they would not be addressing the memo. I would caution that one internal document from February the 15th. It might not have the most accurate information about events during those periods. So they're saying ignore the document that had some information. It doesn't have accurate information, and we won't be giving you any more information whatsoever. That is scary, honestly. That is scary. And they've made a whole bunch of requests to Congress for more information about these shoot downs. They're not providing any of it. They don't want you to see any of it, okay? Everybody's confused. Now, what's really interesting, there's actually is some audio recordings of the pilots as they intercepted that object over Lake Huron, and we can hear actually some of what they said.
I can see something, I can't tell if it's metallic or what, and there's, I can see like lines coming down below, but I can't see anything below it. One, looking outside, it's kind of like a blackish, I'm going to call it like a container. I can't really tell though what the shape is. It's just so slow and so small and you can't see it until you're so close. I'd honestly be worried about hitting it before you know it was there. It's almost like a octagonal shape, I'm going to call it a balloon. You can definitely see strings hanging down below, but I don't see anything below it. It's pretty small, I don't know, size of like a four-wheeler or something.
So there's an octagonal object flying in the sky that's grey. It's got string hanging down it, like it looks like a balloon, but it's not carrying anything. And it's the size of a UAV. It's the size of an ATV. I don't even know how the F-16 pilots can even tell the size of it by eyeball, but hey, that's just what it is. Now, there's unconfirmed footage of a Lake Huron object that's been circulating online. This video was posted just a day after the UFO was shot down, and some people think this might actually be some amateur footage of the UFO in the sky. Look at this. I would love for a camera sighting, for a UFO sighting to take place while somebody's maybe filming like a big budget movie with like a quality camera. That would be great. But the way this thing's moving is very bizarre. It's saying it's the size of an ATV. It's moving very erratically. The way it's moving around, that's not moving like your average aircraft. Honestly, I don't think that's moving like a balloon either, but that's just my opinion. But can you see that? Just that little dot there. The way it's moving around so erratically, it's almost moving like a bird in flight, just whizzing around left to right. So in the video, you can actually see the Adler Planetarium in Chicago, Illinois. Now, this is interesting because it's like, it's just a bit unusual that this would take place right in front of a planetarium. Look at that. You see that? The Adler Planetarium in Chicago, a journey among the stars. You really mean to tell me that you're seeing the UFOs above this thing? This thing looks like a UFO. It's just all very suspicious. It's all very suspect, okay? I'm quite confused. And this is in Chicago. I don't know if any of the O-Block members ever made their way out to the planetarium to check that out. But I feel like the aliens would probably know a little bit better than to be flying unidentified over O-Block. But anyway, I feel like this is super spooky. All right, I found it really interesting covering these UFO stories. That statement at the start, it's like sounds like it's official. There's really a breeding program. They're saying that they're breeding migrants that they're picking up from caravans that are traveling across the world and breeding them with aliens. I can't believe my ears. Now, if it wasn't such official people saying this, if this was just someone ranting on Reddit, someone yelling into their phone, I might be inclined to think it's just a bunch of nonsense. But these are people at the top levels of the government talking about, I'm not suicidal, I don't even want to talk about this, I can't even be able to talk about this. And JD Vance is calling them demons. So look, you guys let me know what you think of this. This story is actually getting so spooky, so bizarre. I don't even know where to go with it, but I will keep covering it. I know you guys have been enjoying the UFO coverage. We've been covering all the poo shiesty stuff that's been going on as well. It is a lot going on right now, okay? If it's not the kidnappings and the gangsters drilling in the hood, it's the aliens drilling in the sky. It's actually insane, okay? So let me know what you thought of that update. I'll come back with some more stories for you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for your support. And for now, guys, I'm out. Stay safe and just look out for them UFOs.